at this current time, Manchester United have missed another opportunity that could see us go third if we won this game, but due to a 96th winner from Southampton, an injury, so many injuries, it ends up that Manchester United can just not grab that opportunity. What's up, everybody? It's the Aidan Sports Show, and welcome back to another video. This is going to be a Manchester United versus Southampton 2-2 match reaction, match results. I'm going to give everything that I have a lot to say, so I'm going to give everything that I need to say now, and yeah, and basically do the player ratings, Ollie's performance. If I might not even do the bench, but I might have to due to some injuries. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel. Turn notifications on, share the video and the playlist. Look, this is not a good feeling, to be honest. Not necessarily the draw, but it's everything else that could potentially happen that could risk top four for Manchester United. Now, obviously the draw sucks, but if you're being a little bit of an optimistic, it still brings us 1 point closer to both Leicester and Chelsea, considering they both lost. So we are still 5th place. We're still 1 point. We are 1 point closer to Leicester, and we are 1 point closer to Chelsea, in which both of them still have harder schedules than us. That's the optimism in this draw, I guess. For Manchester United. But the negatives are the injuries, man. Obviously, Luke Shaw had an ankle issue, had to come off. Luke Shaw was doing very, very well at left back. And obviously, the young kid, Brandon Williams, got knocked in the head, concussion. And it looks like he's probably going to be out for a few weeks max. So we're going to have to pray that Luke Shaw's healthy, because we don't really have another left back. We need to play our left backs, man. We don't have another one. And of course, playing with 10 men in the final stages of the game really cost us in the end. But there are a few players that had a terrible performance, and we need to address them. We genuinely need to address them, because they were a little bit of sluggish. A lot of players didn't really show up this game, and due to two brilliant performances from our two strikers, everything else kind of went a little bit blank. But once the equaliser happened, you see there are a bunch of players that did not show up to this game. And in the end, when an opportunity grabs itself, when there's an opportunity for Manchester United to go out there and to get third and to prove their dominance once again, they decide to slip up a little bit. Whether it's by their own doing or not, the performance itself was not good enough, and therefore that's how we got the draw. Southampton, I have to give a lot of credit and an apology to Southampton, because in the match preview, I said that Southampton will park the bus. They did not park the bus at all. In fact, they were the majority of the time from at the very start, they were the dominant team, and obviously at the finish, they were the dominant team. And in the end, I think a draw, I hate to say this, but a draw is well justified for Southampton, and you have to give credit where it's due. Obviously, the goal was a bit crap. The second goal was complete rubbish that they scored, but any goal, they'll take it. And obviously, the first goal was decent, again, off of a mistake. So in the end, it's our own real doing that kind of brought this draw to them. But again, we need to learn from mistakes like this. Southampton, I can't complain too much. I'm not going to go full rage mode, full 10 out of 10, proper me just swearing at everybody, because we've been 17 games now unbeaten. We didn't lose this game. But you expected us to win this game with the form. You expected us to win this game due to just a general need to go and win it, but we just didn't do it. And for now, we're going to have to accept this draw. I'm not sure what other people are going to react to this. It's going to be interesting to see which Manchester United fans are going to go all guns out blazing, screaming at the team and everything, or which fans are going to stay calm. And I feel like I'm in the middle. I'm not going to go full rage mode, but I'm not necessarily uncalm as well. I feel that we are a step closer, and that's all I could really say on the matter. I feel like we could have been miles ahead if we won this game, actually been into the top four, but we are a step closer, and Chelsea do have tougher games ahead. Leicester have tough games ahead, and we're going to truly have to beat Leicester. I feel like the last game of the season, we need to beat Leicester if we're going to have a chance at this, because it's tied at the moment. They still have Spurs, and they still have us. And Chelsea have Liverpool and Wolves. So these are two oppositions that we're trying to overcome that will have tougher schedules. So a draw is not the worst result. But But I swear, if we cannot win the rest of the games, we are in deep, deep trouble. Fifth is not going to get us to the Champions League anymore. And at the end of the day, no one wants fifth anyway. So we need to get to the top four. Otherwise, we're putting all our eggs in one basket with the Europa League when it's a one-game type of scenario and we can lose at any given time. So I prefer the top four, man. I feel like that's a safer option. It's still our best option. Let's go and get it. We need to put this game behind us and we need to focus on the next one. Before I get into the player ratings, I probably should have done this at the start of the video, but if you guys are still watching, rest in peace to Serge Aurier's brother. I'm not sure the whole instance, the whole circumstance that happened out of this death, but it was a shooting. And yeah, look, it's always fun to poke fun of other clubs, other players from different clubs, but when something like this happens, this is the beauty of football. When no matter what club you are, whether you're Arsenal or Spurs, whether you're Liverpool or United, whether you're City or Liverpool or City and United, no matter what the teams are, we all come together and show respect and show love and passion for each other that not many sports out there would be able to do. We come together and we pay respects to Serge Aurier and his brother. I'm sure Manchester United players have his thoughts and condolences to his family, as the fans, as every other team's fans, players and fans. I feel like I need to address that. It's a very, very sad time, and look, you can't defend the shooting, man. I don't know what the issues are, but shootings, it's just so uncalled for these days. Anyway, we're going to move on from that and we'll go into the player rating. So David De Gea, in my eyes, gets a 7 out of 10. The first goal, I reckon he could have done just a tad bit better, but the second goal wasn't necessarily anything related to him at all. And he made a very world-class save to keep us from losing the game, I guess, or at the time equalising for Southampton. A beautiful save. He did his job well. Passing out from the back was decent. And David De Gea, in the end, was one of the better players on the field. And that's a big, big problem, especially when this was such an important game to win. Wan-Bissaka, I thought, when I think of Wan-Bissaka this game, I think he was all right. He was all right. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10, but I think he was all right. I don't think he was the Wan-Bissaka of tackling left, right, and centre, but I don't think he was as bad as last week either, or last game. I just thought he was okay. He was all right. He did his thing. It was a little slightly above average, I guess, because he did make vital interceptions to stop a cross going in. But besides that, didn't really do much. Wasn't really in the attacking force either. I don't think the right wing-back role suits him much compared to the right-back position. He's clearly playing further up, and I feel like that kind of stunts him from playing defense, which is his main attribute, I guess. And that's going to come with learning. He's going to have to learn how to adjust himself to a right wing-back role. He's still very, very young, and he will get there, man. Give patience to Wan-Bissaka. Victor Lindelof. I was going to give Victor Lindelof a 7, but for that goal, I'm going to give him a 6. I think Victor Lindelof was the sole fault for the second goal. Obviously, it was a fantastic delivery from Ward-Prowse of Southampton, but Victor Lindelof has to do much, much better to block the player in front of him, and unfortunately, he didn't do it. He just couldn't do it to save his life. It didn't even look like he was trying. But besides that, he was actually he was great today. Besides that mistake, and it's not good enough, I guess. Of course, playing with 9 men, I'm watching the goal back now, and you can just see he just doesn't do enough. He lets the player go in way too easily. He needs to be in front of him. He should never let the player go behind him, and that's the fault for the goal. He is the fault for the goal, so I think a 6 is fair. People could give him a 5, and I wouldn't complain. Harry Maguire, I think Harry Maguire probably, I don't know how to judge Harry Maguire, really. I think he 6.5 or a 7. I'm going to give him a 7, benefit of the doubt. Again, I don't think he was really at fault for anything here, but I don't think he was that presence that we all know. He got outpaced a lot. His positioning, really, you could say, was the cost of a goal. So maybe I'm going to change that. I'm going to give him a 6.5 because he wasn't directly at fault for that goal, but his positioning kind of made that goal possible for Southampton. And in the end, that was a goal that very, very early on we shouldn't have conceded, and we conceded. And you could say the same thing for Luke Shaw here. And that, then again, so many people like to judge Luke Shaw without having any based evidence. this time you have something to go on, all these Luke Shaw haters, because I think Luke Shaw was a generous generous 7, but I'm going to give him a 6.5. I thought Luke Shaw was at fault for the goal. His positioning, he was nowhere to be found. And Harry Maguire already had to deal with a player in front of him and a player behind him. In the end, this guy ain't Superman. If he gets lucky, he can get a header away. But unfortunately, he can't. There's not much Harry Maguire could do for that goal. I think Luke Shaw needed to be there and he wasn't. And it's a shame. I don't really want to go in on Luke Shaw because he's injured at the moment. He got an injury. Hopefully the injury is not too serious because we're going to need him back. Very, very much so, especially in the next game against Crystal Palace. He's going to have, I'd say, 5 days to recover. Hopefully that's enough time to bring him in because we don't have a left back now. And we're going to really, really, really need him. We're going to need all of our players now to step up because we know that we're not invincible anymore. We can be defeated. We can get got at. Southampton attacked us extremely well tonight. Their press was sensational. And for that reason, Manchester United have proven that they are not invincible. They can get scored on and good goals as well. So when the cookie crumbles, everything falls apart. So that's what Manchester United did defensively today. And look, I'll just move on. Luke Shaw, a 6.5 in my eyes. People could give him less, people could give him more. Really, it's up to you. But for me personally, if he's at fault for the goal, he can't get a decent score, can he? So we're gonna have to move on. Nemanja Matic, in my eyes, Nemanja Matic was a 7 out of 10. At the end of the day, he did what he was supposed to do. He did his job. He covered. He did exactly what was needed of him. Again, rather non-existent in this game. He had a few tackles here and there. He tried to go forward, which is something I don't really like to see from Matic. He tried to go forward a bit. Not his game. He probably shouldn't be doing that. But besides that, he was rather non-existent, but he did his covering, which is why I give him such a high score. He covers extremely, extremely well. And that's why he gets high ratings every time. He's covering, he's allowing Luke Shaw and Bissaka to go forward, and for that, he gets a high score. Paul Pogba. Now, Paul Pogba was very, very disappointing today, and I know there's going to be a bunch of Paul Pogba haters rising from the ashes now to come and give some slate to the guy after one terrible performance. Paul Pogba, in my eyes, gets a 5.5. I thought he was very, very bad today. I thought it was his worst performance of all season. And to be fair, you have to give credit where it's due. He was a big reason for the goal. He passed it to Martial, which the control was pitch perfect, really, in that circumstance, which led to a goal by Marcus Rashford. Paul Pogba, however, though, was the main reason for the fault on the first goal. Very, very sloppy turnover. A guy that looks like he was tired, he was sluggish, he didn't want to release the ball, and it cost him in the end, and he turned the ball over in a very vital position, which led to the first goal. Paul Pogba is the main reason for the first goal, and not only that, he turned it over consistently, and he was rather non-existent, just like Matic, really. He didn't have much say in the game. And for that, he has to get a low score. Now, I still think Paul Pogba is essential to this team. One bad game is not going to change my mind. For every 4, 5, 6 good games he has, one bad game is not going to change everything for me. It's not going to say we need to sell Paul Pogba. It's not going to make me say that he's not good enough for this team or he doesn't fit the team. I think Paul Pogba is an absolute must for this game and for this team. And we've seen it when Fred comes in, when McTominay comes in. And you saw it today as well. Instant drop-off. Down to the floor. We parked the bus when we had 10 players. When we had 11 players, we parked the bus as soon as Paul Pogba came off. We did nothing when Paul Pogba came off. And it shows that he's vital. And it shows that he makes a presence. He is a presence. And he is a very essential player. If Bruno comes off, the same thing happens. When they both came off, oh, Lord help us, we were done. But, yeah, but he has to get a low score. I don't care what anybody says. That's not a good enough performance on his level, on his stature. And I think it's a 5.5 is a fair score. I don't think he was bad enough to get worse than a 5. But 5.5 for me is the right score for Paul Pogba. Bruno Fernandez, probably one of the worst performances. Again, he's so influential that he still makes plays even despite everything that's going on around him. He wasn't on his ball today, or not necessarily that, but players weren't really reading his wavelength. But again, not really much of an impact in terms of going forward or defending for Bruno Fernandez. I still think he was vital. I still think he had the most touches on the ball. I still think that he did the most running on the team. I'm going to give him a 6. I thought he was average. I don't think he was above average. I don't think anybody can give him a 7 or an 8 and justify it logically. But I think a 6 is fair because he didn't have a major stat line in the game. He made some decent runs. He made some good plays, but majority of them were turnovers once again. And you need to take risks. And we took risks, but unfortunately none of them came off for him. And sometimes you're going to get a score like this if you take risks and it doesn't work out. Because it's just the way that it is, man. It's football at the end of the day. You get rewarded for your risks, but you get criticised if the risks don't go through. It's as simple as that, really. I'm not going to go in on Bruno Fernandez saying that he does this every week. I could say he turns the ball over every week, but most of the times he gets an assist or two, he gets a goal, and that's what I like to see out of our players. And yeah, so we're going to have to leave Bruno Fernandez at a 6 out of 10. Let's go into the strike force. And I thought the strike force was sensational, but for one. And we'll get to Mason Greenwood first, because obviously he was the one that I need to be talking about here. Now, anybody that gives slate to Mason Greenwood after this game, honestly, should just cut it out. I don't know what to say. Like, I feel like I need to get aggressive because I'm very defensive towards Mason Greenwood. I'm just going to leave it as cut it out. Just stop. Stop what you're doing. Stop trying to bag Mason Greenwood. Stop abusing the player. It's one bad game. He has saved us on countless times during this Premier League return. He's saved us countless times. He's been in form. He's been sensational. But unfortunately, he was not in the game today. And that's the biggest criticism you could give him. He just wasn't in the game. If he was in the game, he would have made an impact. He just wasn't in the game. The ball didn't get to him. When it did get to him, the ball, it was either too much out of his reach or he had to play it on the defensive side. There wasn't much for Mason Greenwood to get a sniff at today, and that was the biggest issue. I feel like that's kind of what cost us the game in the end, because you need to give someone like Mason Greenwood a shot on goal. And sometimes when you don't give your attackers the sniff to go and score, how are they going to score? Obviously, 2 fantastic goals from our players led to a draw, but those goals weren't exactly made from midfielders, weren't made from an exact play. It was made by both of our strikers. And that's what I will get into that later. But for Mason Greenwood, I'm going to give him a 6. I can't say he did any worse than that because he just wasn't in the game. I think he was average at best. He was rather non-existent, like a lot of our team was. And in the end, it came back to hurt us. And of course, we need Mason Greenwood as much as any other player now. We've seen that he is still inconsistent because he's still upcoming. He's still relatively inexperienced, and yes, he has the instincts to go on attack, but if the ball doesn't get to him, then he doesn't have the instincts to make himself a presence in the game, and sometimes that hurts him. And again, no criticism. Criticism is alright, but abuse is not. And I'm not going to abuse Mason Greenwood for one bad game. And I hope our fans don't do that either, because I've seen the abuse. I bet you Paul Pogba and Luke Shaw are going to get miles and miles of abuse after 6 months. Or at least for Luke Shaw's sake, 6 months of solid work before lockdown and after lockdown. And Paul Pogba, during this entire stint of the Premier League return, these players have been sensational. But one bad game, and they're going to get a crap ton of abuse, calling these players a bunch of things that is just rather uncalled for. And in the end, we're going to be Manchester United divided again. And that I don't want to see that, but I know I will. So I'm going to have to try and accept that. Going into Marcus Rashford. In my opinion, Marcus Rashford was our man of the match. I thought Marcus Rashford was the most lively, the most likely to score, the ability to run. I thought Marcus Rashford was sensational today. And he assisted and he got a goal. He assisted Martial for a goal and he got a goal himself, which was beautiful. I'm giving Marcus Rashford an 8 out of 10. Now, I don't think he played well enough to get a perfect 10 or a 9, but those 2 players linked each other up to perfection here, and that's what gave us the draw. When our team seemed relatively sluggish and tired and non-existent, these 2 players came up big for us, big time. And if it wasn't for these players, I comfortably think we could have lost this game 3-4-0, just because we wouldn't have that attacking presence. the way that we did. And after conceding the first goal, that finish from Marcus Rashford was sensational. My man of the match, let me know if he was your guys' man of the match. And Anthony Martial, not far behind him, giving him an 8 out of 10 as well. Obviously a beautiful goal, near post banger of a goal, top corner. It was beautiful. That was like that's a definition of a FIFA goal right there, going the way that he scored that. And the assist and the control. Not only that, the control from Paul Pogba's pass to get that assist for Rashford is world class. And again, we see this from our number 9 all the time, but people don't like to give him credit. If anybody's slating Martial, then they're looking at the wrong person at the moment, because there's so many other players that probably deserve criticism more than Martial. And in my opinion, Martial could definitely be man of the match. I'm sure a bunch of people will give Martial man of the match, but I'm going to give Marcus Rashford a man of the match because I feel like he deserves it a little bit more because of the form that he wasn't in. And I feel like he was an essential part of this game, and he helped Martial become a better version of himself tonight. And that's why he gets my man of the match. But Martial, sensational again, beautiful goal. Probably should have got a second with that beautiful run, solo run, dropped a defender. If he hit that on target, probably would have been game over. But I can't blame Martial for a missed opportunity when he barely got an opportunity, really. I believe he had 3 shots on goal and he got a goal. So I feel like if he had more opportunities, he'd score more goals. Same with every other attacker. And we just didn't have enough opportunities to actually go and shoot. The second half especially. The second half was dreadful in terms of actually getting a shot on goal. It just wasn't good enough from our team. And that's the team. Overall, a rather disappointing performance, a rather stagnant and tired performance. And now we have to talk about that left-back problem that we have. So Luke Shaw gets injured and Brandon Williams gets injured. Who is going to play left-back for Manchester United? We might have to bring up Ethan Laird to play that position. I hope that Luke Shaw is actually going to be fit enough to play. I hope Luke Shaw will be will come back as soon as he can, because we're going to need him. And he's obviously our starting left back. And it sucks. Honestly, I'm more hurt about the Brandon Williams injury because it sucks to see someone that was competing for a left back position and the right back position as well. It sucks for a player like that to ends up going down like that with just full body attempt at the ball, man, giving 100% commitment, and he ends up costing him potential concussion, I heard the commentators say. And yeah, like, it's a terrible situation, and I hope for speedy recoveries for both players. But Brandon Williams, I hope he gets better as quick as possible. Luke Shaw, I honestly expect Luke Shaw to play, maybe not the Crystal Palace game, but definitely the Chelsea game after that, or even the West Ham game after that. But I think he'll be fit, hopefully, for the end of the season, and that's exactly what we're going to need. I hope that the game against Crystal Palace, if he doesn't play, it's not going to affect us. He looked relatively okay walking off. He was limping a bit, but yeah, I just hope that it's not a serious injury for either of those players and they can come back to normal. Playing with 10 men really cost us the game today. I know it wasn't for a long period of time, and you can't say that's the sole reason. Southampton played absolutely phenomenal today, and that is the main reason we got the draw. That is the 100% main reason. They nullified our midfield, they bossed the game, they had more possession, and we failed to capture opportunities, and they got their opportunities. Now, don't get me wrong, they didn't have many shots on goal, Southampton, but the majority of the shots they got was in the goals. It's as simple as that, man. That's football. You can't go and say the Southampton weren't a good team today. In many people's eyes, Southampton were probably the better team. And I have to look at that, and I have to think that Manchester United needed to do better today, and they didn't. And Southampton capitalised on that, and they got their draw. And not only that, they're fighting for their season as well. It's not just us that's fighting. And that's where the difficulty lies for Manchester United. Again, we fail to beat a team we should be beating. But it's just one game. It's just one game. And after the incredible performances we've seen over Manchester United over the long period of time, from this lockdown period to the Premier League restart, we cannot hide or make excuses for our team for one game. We need consistency, and sometimes the consistency won't be there. We've seen Liverpool lose to Watford before. That's a team Liverpool should be smothering, but they didn't. It happens to teams like this. Hopefully that's a one-time thing, and we can go and win the rest of the games that we can. And no one, in the end, I don't think anyone is going to be too worried about this. I still think top 4 is definitely favourites for us. But we've let off Chelsea and Leicester, and for that we need to step up our game, because we can't let them, if either team slip up, we can't let them get away with it like that again. And if we do, then we're going to be the ones that are fighting for the Europa League next season. So hopefully everything comes into fruition for Manchester United, and this game can be swept under the rug as quickly as possible. Let's go to the bench quickly. I'm just going to give the ratings. I'm not going to give much of a say on the players. So it's going to take a while. I don't think he used all 5 substitutions, so it might end up taking a while for this anyway. So obviously Brandon Williams. I thought Brandon Williams was good, so I'm going to give him a 6.5. Fred, average 6. Scott McTominay, non-existent, 6. And I believe that's all the substitutions. Daniel James, he worked hard, 6. I think that's all the substitutions. That's 4. I don't think he used the 5th one. So yeah. Fred had to play left back as well, so I guess he could get a little bit more praise for playing a position that's not accustomed to him. But that's the team, really. That's everything. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer performance for the actual team rating. I'm gonna give, for Ollie's performance in total, I'm gonna give him a 7. I think the willingness to park the bus relatively early was a bad move. The team rating, the team selection was superb, as usual. Not using your 5th substitute is probably not the greatest idea. But besides that, you can't really blame all of this on Ollie. I feel like the tactical decision of parking the bus around the 80th minute cost us badly, and we needed the 3rd goal. And in the end, we took a risk and it didn't work out for us. So yeah, maybe something at Bruno as well when we needed him. That's the only thing I can say about Ollie. Team performance. Average 6. We were average today. We were average at best. We didn't really attack. We probably didn't defend well either. And we deserve an average. We deserve average at best. That's going to be the end of this video. We've got Crystal Palace in the next game. I will give you a match preview for that. Stay tuned. If you enjoyed this video, smash a like on it, comment down below what you thought of the game, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new. 86% of my viewership is not subscribed, man. We have a goal of 75 subscribers, so if you guys wouldn't mind to give me a chance, feel free to subscribe. You know where the subscribe button is. It's going to be right under the name. And yeah, look, Manchester United fans, we're all passionate. A lot of people are going to be speaking truly based on emotion tonight. But I think it's important to stay calm, and I hope the calmness will pay off for us. I don't think it's all panic mode just yet. We know teams in front of us can slip up. We've seen it, and we've done it as well. So it just shows that the level of all of these teams are relatively the same, and we have to just be that team that gets into the top 4 with the easiest schedule. Have a wonderful and safe day. Take care, and peace.